Okay, welcome to session number 2. I created a video this time on a base of different reasons. So going right away to the topic, this is the website github.com. This was already covered in class and by special request on Professor Rohan and Alexander, I'm gonna explain all the steps again from zero, right? So I'm gonna create a new account, not my usual account, to lead you throughout the complete process, right? So I'm gonna sign up with my UFT email, okay? So I'm gonna type my email here, mb.sepulveda@mail.utorana.ca, okay? And here I'm gonna create a password. So I already have my usual username, but I'm gonna create a username that's different this time, right? So okay, I'm gonna create a new login, okay, and I'm gonna say this as a new login. Okay. If you don't use one password or something similar, I highly recommend that. Okay. So I'm gonna put this. Okay. And as username, I'm gonna type Vargas S5, which is my UFT ID. Okay. Yes, I'm gonna put the S because the educational plan comes with a lot of new software and updates that are very convenient when you're a student. Okay. Okay, now I need to solve the puzzle. Okay, find the spiral galaxy. Okay. Good. Now again. And ready. Okay, so now I'm gonna create my account. Now I need to see my UFT email. Okay. And I should have gotten a password. Okay. Okay, so this is my code. I'm gonna paste this code here, and that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna put that here. I'm a student, and how many members will be working with you? I'm gonna put 20 to 50 maybe because this is the size of the class. Okay, I'm gonna put that I'm a student. Okay, now I'm gonna continue, and I'm gonna put that I'm interested in collaborative coding, right? Project management, I'm not so sure at this point. I can go back to this at some other point in the future, okay? And I'm gonna put continue. Okay. This is interesting because this detects a UFT email and gives me access to all of this plan. I have access to free RStudio, for example, which is very convenient if you need to use cloud or whatever. Also, with the UFT email, you can create private repositories to keep your assignments or something like that, and you can avoid sharing your assignments without the idea to share that publicly, okay? Right. And I'm gonna apply for the student benefit. I have that on my regular GitHub account. Okay, I'm gonna sign up for this to have more than 3 private repositories, okay? And as a student, I'm gonna click here, okay? And that's it. Okay, I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna select this option, okay? This is valid while I'm a student, okay? This is okay, detected the university. It's verified, it's fine. And here I'm gonna type is STA304 coursework. Okay. Continue. We need a little more proof to verify your academic status. Okay. I'm gonna submit a picture of my academic status. Okay. Or another form of proof ID. Okay. says use your computer camera to upload a piece of ID. Okay, so I'm gonna pick my UFT card. I have my UFT card here, so I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna allow the site to use the camera, of course. Okay, that's me. Hello everyone, and this is my UFT card, right? And I'm gonna take a photo. Okay, that's fine. And now process the application. Okay, so now I have to wait until this is checked for the benefits. At least I got an email, maybe it's this. Okay, and this gave me the benefits like right away. Okay, so now I'm gonna continue to the regular GitHub flow. Okay, now I'm gonna go here, and now my account is verified, which is very convenient because I have access to an unlimited number of private repositories. I have access to a lot of software. I can use the GitHub desktop tool in an unlimited way, etc. So you can go anytime to education.github.com and see all the benefits. Okay, so this is my blank new GitHub account. Sorry if I'm going too slow. I prefer to explain all the details step by step, and I'm gonna continue that way for the next 50 minutes. So I'm gonna go to my profile, and I have no picture, nothing, no biography, no nothing. Okay. And for example, as a comparison, if I go to my regular GitHub account, which is bacha.dev, here I have my bio, I have a description, I have like all of that. Okay. And how do I start with this? This is blank basically, right? So I have nothing. If I go to repositories, I have nothing. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is to create a new repository, okay? And I'm gonna go to new. And this repository, it's gonna contain my GitHub username, Vargas S5. Okay. And here I can put my bio or whatever, and GitHub detects this as a special kind of repository because of the name of this repository. Okay. So I can use a README to make it nicer. And I can put this public or private. I'm gonna go to private repositories in a few minutes. I'm gonna stick to the defaults. Okay. And I'm gonna add a README that I can modify later. And I'm gonna add a license. Which kind of license? I can choose many type of license. I like this one in particular, the Apache license, that prevents a lot of collaboration things, patents, trolls, or whatever. Okay. You can read about licenses by googling a bit, but Apache, it's like the least complicated license in my opinion, and it protects the software creator. So if you ever write a piece of software, I think this is the way to go. And now I'm gonna create the repository. Okay. And this is my README, and I can edit this from here. Okay. I'm gonna click here and I can edit this. Right. And now what can I do is to do some copy paste or just start editing this, right? What can be very interesting if I ever see a piece of software that's interesting in another repository, I can go to my regular GitHub, for example, and here, this is my custom repository on my other account. And here I'm seeing the README, so I'm gonna check my repository. This is my other account. I have forked this from a friend of mine. Okay. And this here contains some icons, right? And contains some information about my activity and the repositories I like. This is some kind of Instagram for people writing code, okay? So I'm gonna click this README, okay? And now I can select here the raw option, okay? And I'm gonna copy paste this, okay? And I'm just gonna do a copy paste, okay? This is like okay in my opinion, right? So what you can do now is to edit this. You can put a description, okay, like new readme copied from pacha.dev, which is me, and here you can add a detail in case of need, right? I'm gonna skip this second part at the moment, okay? And now I'm gonna commit this directly instead of creating like a new branch to change this. I'm gonna show this right now, but let me complete this first. And I'm gonna commit this, okay? And this is how it looks, okay? And if I go here, this is my new repository on my new account. And now I can see this with all the icons and all of that, right? I'm doing this just to show how to copy contents from GitHub, right? I'm not particularly interested in the fanciness of the stuff, okay? And now I'm gonna go back to my root, okay? So this shows that now I have one repository, okay? Right? And the other option was to edit in a new branch, okay? So maybe I can edit this, right? And here I'm gonna put some intentional mistake. So let's say I'm gonna type a new paragraph, okay? It's like I'm gonna put to do, okay? Test new text, okay? And here I'm gonna write with bad spelling intentionally. I'm not sure if I made or make it changes, okay? And let's say I'm not sure about the spelling here. Totally valid, by the way. English is not my first language and I'm constantly learning, okay? But I know that this one is made, not make it, right? Or at least I believe that, okay? So I'm gonna type the same here, update readme.md, no additional description at the moment, okay? And I'm gonna create a new branch for this, right? And I'm gonna put this in this way, okay? And I'm gonna propose changes. Instead of just going and overwriting, I'm gonna propose a new change. And you can do this all the time. And now I'm creating like a pull request, which is a process it's more useful when you are interacting with more people, right? Because in that way you can see the changes and people can collaborate and make suggestions before overwriting the original contents, right? And even if you overwrite the contents, you can go back and revert changes at any time. Okay, so I'm gonna open this pull request. And I'm gonna leave the pull request open at the moment. You can close that here. Right? I can go to files, change, and here I can see the changes, okay? And this is showing in green the new additions, right? I can go to the conversation. I'm not gonna start creating a conversation with myself for sure. But when you are doing group assignments or something, this option is very, very useful. I can go back to the repository. And here I can see that this has 2 commits at the moment, okay? So if I click the commits, this is the first commit where I've added a license, okay, and a README, okay, and then I can go back and see the second commit. And here I can see that I've deleted some contents, which appears in red, and I've added new contents, which appear in green, okay. So this is all what we need to know by now about changing contents directly on the web, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is to start creating a new repository in two ways, with contents and without contents, and start working with that repository from GitHub. Okay, so I'm gonna proceed and create two new repositories just here on GitHub at the moment, and then I'm gonna move to RStudio and interact with GitHub from there. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to plus. I'm gonna create a new repository, and this is gonna be code 1, okay, or even better, session 2 code 1, okay. And I'm gonna create this totally empty, okay. And now it's giving me some instructions to show some contents. If I reload this, it's gonna go back to the same. I need to add contents from my laptop or from RStudio server or whatever, and then upload the contents here to GitHub. In parallel, I'm gonna create a new repository with a slightly different name, okay. And this repository, it's gonna be session 2 code 2, okay. And this time I'm gonna make it different, and I'm gonna add a README to be able to clone this right away, okay. And that's it. And this contains an empty README that has just the title, okay. So what do I have to do now is to go to RStudio and start interacting with GitHub from RStudio, okay. And I'm gonna do that from zero because my RStudio setup on my laptop contains a lot of tricks and customizations that can difficult the learning process, and here I'm gonna start from zero, from the most obvious things, even when that can be a bit slow. So now I'm gonna look here for my username, right? This is my access to RStudio, okay. I'm gonna copy the password, okay. This is censored for the video, of course, to avoid whatever, because the server has administration access with this username, okay. So now what I have to do is to go to rstudio.sta304.pacha.dev. Okay. Here I type my username, Vargas S5, and then I type my password. Okay. And this is showing me where we were last session. Okay. And what I'm gonna do now is to clone our repository from GitHub. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is to go to File and then New Project. Okay. And I'm gonna start with the latest project I've created. Okay. And here I'm gonna create this. Unlike last session when we went to the new directory option, Now I'm gonna go to version control to copy from the web. Okay, and here it gives me two options. I'm gonna go for the Git option. Okay, and I need the URL for this project. Okay, and I can do this and copy the URL, sorry, copy the repository, and this gives me the options to proceed. Okay, this is one way to do that, but there's a more convenient way, because if I do this way, then I'm gonna need to type the username and the password at all times. Every time I need to change something, I'm gonna need to type my username and my password to upload or bring changes. Okay, so I can do that and it's totally fine, but I'm gonna go for the good way now, or the least complicated way in my opinion. So I'm gonna hit cancel, but I insist you can always do that this way. And in order to have a passwordless access from RStudio and move my changes back and forth every time, I'm gonna need an SSH key, which is like having some sort of identification stored into my account. That's divided in two parts: the public key and the private key. You need to always keep your private keys to yourself, and you can always share the public key. So what I need to do now is to create a new SSH key that on this RStudio server instance I don't have, but I have that on my laptop, and that's why I wanted to work with RStudio server to show this from zero. So I'm gonna go to this new GitHub account, not my regular GitHub account, and I'm going to settings. Okay, and here I'm gonna go to SSH and GPG keys. Now I'm gonna create a new SSH key, right? If I go here, it gives me the option to paste the public key, but I don't have one, so I need to create one. So I'm gonna go back, and I hope not to be boring some people that already know about this. I'm gonna go here to the guide to generating new SSH keys, okay? And I'm gonna create a new SSH key. Okay. The RStudio server, it's Linux based, right? And if we all use the cloud, we're gonna be working on Linux, all of us. If you want to do this locally from your RStudio desktop, that's totally fine. You can switch options here between Mac, Windows, or Linux, and the changes are very, very minimal. For Windows, it asks you to download a new software in order to have access to a command line. The same command line we have here in RStudio. You need to access this by separate on Windows. But it's totally fine to use Windows. There's no problem. This is independent from the technological choice that you may have, okay? So for the case of Linux, which is the RStudio server, that's what this RStudio is made of. I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna copy the first part of this. Okay. I'm gonna paste this on the terminal, and on this terminal you can type operating system level commands. You cannot update the operating system or things like that because you don't have administration powers, but you can do things for your own user. Okay, so I'm gonna paste this here, and I'm gonna type my my EFT email in quotes. Okay. And I'm gonna save my new SSH key, in the default location, and that's gonna simplify everything. Okay, so I'm gonna type enter. No passphrase. That's in case you want to protect your SSH key with a password. I'm not gonna do that at the moment. Otherwise, I'm gonna need to type the passphrase every time, and I'm doing this to avoid typing passwords every time I need to bring changes from GitHub or send changes to GitHub. Okay, so I'm gonna skip the passphrase. Okay, and now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go a bit up, right? I'm gonna copy not this one, but this one, and this is very important. This one is to myself. This one, you can use that to develop whatever you need in the cloud. You can use that for Amazon EC2, for DigitalOcean, for Heroku, whatever, and GitHub, of course. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna type cat, which is a command to print a file, right? And that's my public key. Okay, but we need to do something more. Okay, so we already created a new key that's stored in our user folder. Okay, right? I've skipped the passphrase. Okay, and now GitHub is telling me something important, that I need to activate this key. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this command. Okay, and I'm gonna paste this command. Okay, so now my key can be used when I interact with GitHub from this command line that we see here. Okay, later I'm gonna have the option to interact with GitHub from this panel here in RStudio by clicking. I'm gonna go to that point right away. Okay, I have activated the SSH agent for my user. Okay, and now I'm gonna paste this, and I'm gonna activate. Sorry, I'm gonna add my new key to the SSH agent. Okay, and now my identity was added. Okay, that's totally fine. And now I can add my SSH key. Okay, so now I'm gonna copy this content here, and again, this public key can always be revealed, sent by email, whatever. The private key, which is this location without the .pub, that needs to be stored secretly at all times. Okay, if you reveal the private key, it's like leaving the apartment with the keys on the door. Okay, so now I'm gonna go here to the security part that we clicked before. Okay, and remember that this was under settings here. Okay, and I'm gonna add a new SSH key, and this is gonna be the name for this is gonna be RStudio ST304, and here I'm gonna paste the contents. Okay, and I'm gonna add this, and by adding this key, I'm gonna be able to interact with GitHub from RStudio, and I'm gonna be able to clone repositories, upload changes, download changes, send pull requests, create new branches, etc. And I got a new email, and it says that a new key was added to my account, which is good. Okay. And here this is warning me about the what if case in the event that this was added without my consent or accidentally, and you can always remove keys, right? So if you ever see a key here that's not identified, just delete that, okay? Right, so I'm gonna go back to my repos, okay? I'm gonna go to see my repositories, and I'm gonna go to the latest created repository, okay? And I'm gonna go to this later repo and go to code, and here instead of HTTPS, which requires to type username and password every time in case of doing the modifications, I'm gonna click SSH, okay, and I'm gonna copy this. So I'm gonna go here to the terminal in RStudio, right, and I'm gonna clear the terminal for clarity, okay, and I'm gonna type cd space double dot enter, and that means go one level up. And here this symbol means the home directory, which is the same as clicking here, okay? I know this because I'm old and I come from the old DOS or DOS days, okay? So when I was a kid, every time I needed to or wanted, better say, to play a game, I had to type some commands like cd space games or whatever, and then type the name of the game or whatever. So now I'm gonna do git space clone space, and I'm gonna paste the name of the remote location, okay? And this is gonna create a new folder on RStudio under my user directory, okay? Right, and this says the authenticity of github.com can't be established because this is the first time I'm interacting with GitHub, and I'm gonna type yes. Ready, and this created this new folder here, okay? And also using my time in an efficient way, I'm gonna link a folder. If you remember the last session, I've created a shared folder that everyone can access from here for the triple dots, right? So what we were doing was to go here and type /home, right? And here we can see all the usernames, right? But we can't see all the contents inside these folders unless the user gave an explicit permit to make his or her files publicly visible, okay? But here we have a folder that already has that change, right? And it's a shared folder. So if I want to see this quickly, I'm gonna go to the command line and I'm gonna type ln space -s /home /share, and here I'm gonna type this special symbol, which is shift and the key to the left of the number 1, right? And I'm gonna type /share, okay? And this means to create a direct access link, okay? And if I go to the diamond icon here and I click this, I'm still under the project from last week. I'm gonna go to home now, and here I have created a direct link, right? If I want to explore this in more detail in the terminal, I can type ls space -la, and I have files here. I have folders in blue, and this one in sky blue is a link, a symbolic link to a folder in another location. So now I have a convenient access, right? Okay. So what can I do now? From the last session, I can go to session number 1, and I'm gonna copy this file. Okay, so I'm gonna copy these two to Word, to this folder session 2, add code 2, and I'm gonna save. Okay. And now I have this with a README and the session 1 file. Okay. And now I'm gonna go to File. I'm gonna create a new project. Okay. I'm not gonna save the contents in the environment, which are empty, by the way. I'm gonna hit Don't Save. And now I'm gonna click Existing Directory. I'm gonna browse. I'm gonna go to Home. And then I'm gonna go to Session 2. Okay. And I'm gonna choose this as an existing directory. Okay. And this has created the project file. Okay. And the advantage of having a project linked to a folder that I obtained by cloning from GitHub is that now I have this here, and here I can see the changes. The R project was wise enough to create a gitignore file. Okay. So this gitignore, what this contains is switch files to ignore on my repository. So for example, if I've stored a file with passwords, I can type, for example, passwords.txt, but good piece of advice, never put files with passwords on Git repositories. Absolutely not. Avoid that, because you can always forget to add this to gitignore. Or you can do another type of mistake, which is to add that here, but forget to upload the changes here on the Git panel. So what I'm gonna do now is to do my first commit, which means to add files and add a message, and then push that commit, which means to upload all the commits I have locally and make that change or changes, I mean one or more commits available on GitHub in the web, like here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is to do a right click here and hit diff to see the changes. And this is showing me that this file is new. Each line here is a new addition. Okay. I'm gonna double click this now. Okay. And now I'm gonna do a new commit, which is gonna be what to ignore. Okay. And now I'm gonna commit. I don't need this option to amend previous commit. This is in case that, for example, I have committed a password accidentally, or a file that I didn't want to upload, right? Or a file that's too heavy or anything. You can you can amend the previous commit in case you haven't pushed beforehand. Okay. So I'm gonna commit now under this commit message. Okay. I'm gonna commit, but this is telling me that I need to report who am I. Okay. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close this. Okay. I'm gonna create a new script. And this here, of course, has to contain my email. Okay. And this needs to contain my name. Okay, so now I'm gonna copy this first command. I'm gonna go to terminal, not to console. Console is like a scientific calculator where you can do all of this. Okay. But terminal is where you type command system commands. Now I'm gonna paste this command. Okay, I'm gonna select that. Okay. I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, that's okay. Now I copy this. I'm gonna select that and paste the second command and hit enter. Okay, that's ready. So I should be able to commit again. So I have already double clicked this. I'm gonna commit now, and I'm gonna type in what to ignore. Okay, and I'm gonna commit this now. And now this worked. It says that I've changed one file and I've added 5 lines. Okay, I'm gonna close this. And now I need to push. Okay, now I'm gonna push. I could add more commits before pushing, but by simplicity, I'm gonna push right away. Okay, and this is showing me that it's added a new IP, which is GitHub server 1, to the list of known hosts. This is fine because this is the first time I'm pushing something. Okay, I'm gonna close this now. And now I've done this. I'm gonna not save that. And I'm gonna reload this. Okay. And this now contains the Git inode. Okay, but what if I need to add actual contents, right? So I'm gonna rename this file here. Session 1 goes to session 2. Okay. And I'm gonna put session 2 here. And I'm gonna save this. Okay. And now this here can be changed to, for example, special. This is called the worm or virgulilla in Spanish. And this means home, my user directory, right? So with the worm symbol, I can read this Excel file. I can knit this again. Okay. And now I have my file in here. And now I'm gonna do 2 commits before pushing, okay? So I'm gonna push this. Sorry, I'm gonna commit this and this. The HTML can wait. And now I'm gonna commit. And I'm gonna type first change to add markdown for this session. Okay, I'm gonna copy this message here. Now I'm gonna commit. Now I'm gonna close this. And I'm gonna close this. I'm not gonna push at the moment, okay? And now this says that my branch is ahead of the origin by 1 commit. Yes, and that's right, because I have made some changes that are not uploaded to the web at the moment. And before pushing all of my changes, I'm gonna add something else in here. And I'm gonna make this more readable, okay? So I'm gonna name this as survey 1. I'm gonna assign with the arrow, okay? And now I'm gonna type cable survey 1. And here I'm doing an intentional error, okay? You're gonna see why. This is not gonna work. And I'm gonna hit knit. And it says it could not find the function cable. So here in the options, I'm gonna type library knit add to have all the functions in this package, okay? And now I'm gonna knit again. Okay. And here I have my survey from last session in a more readable format. Okay. Right. So now I'm gonna commit all of my changes. So I'm gonna double click this, and this appears with blue because it's modified, and this appears on yellow because it's on track before this doesn't exist here in the repository on the web. So I'm gonna click here and here with double clicks for each file, and I'm gonna commit again. This has too many changes, right? Because this is a large file. But if I hit the add markdown, here is showing me the differences. So I've removed a blank line, and I've replaced this line that reads directly for two lines that first reads and then it renders a table. So I'm gonna paste this now, and I'm gonna put second change to add markdown for this session. Okay. So now I'm going to commit this. Okay. And I'm going to push. Okay. And now I'm gonna push. And this is ready now. So I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna close this. So now if I reload this, it should be fine. Okay. So here I can see all of the files. Okay. So I'm gonna go to my repositories again, and I'm gonna see this one. And this has no contents at the moment. So what I'm gonna do now is to create a new project. I'm gonna go to File, then New Project. Okay. And I'm gonna create a new project in a new directory. I'm gonna create a blank project. Okay. And I'm gonna call this session-2-r-code-1. Okay. And I'm gonna create just a blank project. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to the first repo. Okay, the first for this session, and I'm gonna select this markdown and copy this to the newly created project. Okay, so I'm gonna copy. Now I go to the diamond icon, and now I have this. So now I'm gonna rename this session 2, and I'm gonna rename this as riddle. Okay, so I'm gonna select OK. This is just to make it different. Okay, I'm trying to avoid repetition. Okay, so now I'm gonna open this markdown file in here, and I can change this output here to GitHub _document, right? So what if I need this now? Okay, this rendered a slightly different HTML file. Okay, we can see this. It's very similar to the previous one. The table changed a bit. Now I'm gonna close this. And why? Because instead of creating an HTML file, this created an MD file. So it's an HTML with some differences. It's saved under a different format. I can explore this one. And this created a markdown table instead of an HTML table. And it rendered everything in a way that GitHub can understand and process here in the website. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is to copy a part of this. Okay. So I'm gonna go for git init first. So I'm gonna go here to terminal. Okay. I'm gonna type git init. Okay. Ready. And now instead of pushing and committing from the panel, I'm gonna do this from the command line, which is the other option that I mentioned a few minutes ago. So what now? Now I'm gonna need to add files. Okay. I can start adding files one by one. So here I don't have a Git node. I can add one. Okay, so for example, I can go to File, create a new file, create a text file, and add, for example, here all the contents from the other project. So I can go back here to code 2, open the Git node, and just do some copy paste. Okay, and now I'm gonna save this as .gat inode. Okay, now I have saved this. Okay, and I have my Git node. So here I'm gonna type git add .git inode. Okay, and now I have added this single file. Okay, and what if I want to add everything at once? I can go and type each file, like readme.md, and then readme.add md, etc. But I can do git add dot, which means add everything. Okay. And now I'm gonna commit, and from the command line that will be git commit -m, and this is gonna be first commit. Okay, this is the commit message. But now I just can go and push as before from the menu. Okay, because this is the first time. If this were a repository created with files as the session 2 or code 2, I could just go and hit git push, and that's it. But now I need to set up this, because I've started from 0. Okay, I mean from 0 here. I never did git clone here. I started with git init, not git clone. Okay, so now instead of git push, I can just copy and paste this, and that's it. And next time I need to commit, I just can go and type git push, and I only need to set these options once. So if I try git push now, there's nothing to push. So if I reload now, this is the repository in the web. I reload this, and that's it. Okay, so now I can go to RStudio and I can do some changes. Okay, so for example, I can click this. Okay, and now I can add a plot. So for example, let's add a plot. Okay, and I'm gonna add a second code block. Here I'm gonna type I'm gonna move the packages to the beginning, is because of clarity, instead of adding ggplot on a separate code block. Okay, so I'm gonna load ggplot, and this table here contains, for example, the number of people in Toronto. Okay, so what I can do, for example, is to also load the player, but instead adding the player here, I'm gonna move this to the first block. Okay, this is not shown. Okay, so I've loaded the player, and I can do, for example, survey 1, then Ctrl Shift M to add the pipe, or CMD Shift N on Mac. Okay, and I can group by are you in Toronto? Okay, and this goes in between reverse quotes because this has spaces. Okay, or to simplify this, I can load a package that's already configured on this RStudio server instance. Okay, so you don't need to load packages. That's the advantage of using this RStudio server instance. Okay, and with janitor I can run clean names. Okay, so now I can just type it this way. Okay, or I can just delete this and move this to the beginning of the reading of the file. Okay, so I can do something like that. Okay, so if I now preview this is more convenient to work with datasets. Okay, so now I'm gonna group by RU in Toronto. Okay, so that's more convenient to work with data. Okay, now I add a new pipe and I can count the answers. Okay, so this gives me the counts. Some people replied no with lowercase, others with uppercase, and others didn't give a reply. Okay, so for example, before grouping by, I can do a mutate. Okay, so I can do mutate RU in Toronto equals to lower RU in Toronto. Okay, and that's gonna convert everything to lowercase. Okay, so now I can do the count. That's good. And now I add the plot, and now here I need to add a plus because now I've jumped to ggplot's world. Okay, and in this world I need to use plus instead of the pipe. So I'm gonna type bar. I'm gonna type the aesthetics. X equals RU in Toronto. Okay, and Y equals N. And now I save and I render this. Okay, sorry. This is Dion call. And now I have the replies. Okay, so now I'm gonna connect this again. I have my plot, right? This has created a folder with files. This added a file, and this can be rendered on the website. Okay, now I go to the terminal, and I'm gonna type git add dot. Okay, now git commit -m plot. Okay, and now git push. The idea is that the messages are always descriptive. Okay, and now I'm gonna push. And now if I reload this, now I can see my plot here in the web. I hope you liked the tutorial, and now we are on time. Please email me with any questions. Thank you very much.